Welcome to Co-op Mode, round 69. This is the official video game podcast of Secret Friends Unite. I'm your host, Todd Oxtra, joined by my comrade in arms from the Atlantic coast, Mr. Mark Carabin, my Canardian.
Just trying not to say nice. Hey, how you doing? I guess by trying not to say it, I just said it. No, it's fine. It's fine. Anyone watching the video just watched my face like completely eat itself to try to not be like, hey, nice. But then I just said it anyway. So anyway, I'm great. How are you? It's all good.
Doing very well, keeping my mind clean as we have this phenomenal numbered episode. Yep. And we did have a guest lined up. Things kind of fell apart with my schedule this week. It's kind of been crazy. I had a concert with my son on Monday, which he's 15. We went to a rock concert. I wore earplugs, Mark. I'm turning into an old man, but man, oh man, it was the loudest concert I've ever been before. And I checked myself after I'm like, and I've been to a lot of big concerts back in the day. But yeah, we saw Green Day, Weezer, Fall Out Boy, and The Interrupters. It was fantastic at a baseball field, awesome. An outdoor concert. It was wonderful. We had a great time. And Logan said he had a much better time than he expected, which with a 15-year-old kid, that's high praise.
That's basically like 5-star review from a 15-year-old. That's what more can you ask for?
I'll take it.
That's awesome.
I'll take it.
What a lineup,
yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it was just one of those things that was delayed from last year. It's the Hella Mega Tour. And the only one I've seen before was Weezer. I've seen him many, many times. But man, oh man. Woo. Green Day put on a hell of a show. Man, they know how to entertain. And wow, it takes me back. And those guys have been around for almost 30 years. So that's just crazy. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Then I had my fantasy football draft on Tuesday in person, finally. Oh, wow. Reality seems to be kind of coming back to normal fantasy football. I'm not the biggest football expert, but I enjoy playing it. It's just something to really get me involved in the sport. You know, it's one of those things, if there was a fantasy football or fantasy video game like league or something, I would love it.
Did I ever show you my Halloween costume from a few years ago, fantasy football?
No.
Yeah, I dressed up like a wizard, and
with a football.
So it was a wizard with a football jersey on and a cloak
nice.
And like the big wizard beard and hat and
Love
stuff.
It.
And then I had a staff with a football on the top of it instead of like a gemstone or something like that. It was fantasy football, and nobody
gotta love it.
Nobody understood it. Nobody. I was working in a financial institution. I wore it to work. And like zero. Like once I said I'm fantasy football, people just kind of gave me like the groan nod kind of thing.
Oh no, I'd be like so excited. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, I would be so excited,
depressing.
Mark, if you were in my office and you did that.
I'll send you some pictures, so maybe you'll appreciate it like 5 years after I did it.
Your talent is wasted. Now I don't know. Is Canadian Football League? Do they have fantasy football too?
Probably. I don't know.
Okay. You got to pick which Rough Rider team you're drafting from, right?
Exactly. Are you going for the Rough Riders or the Rough Riders?
Rough Riders, yeah.
Got a really good chance against the Rough Riders.
Exactly. Never go wrong. Well, folks, so we were going to have a guest. He'll be back next week, so it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're probably going to make it a little bit retro themed, so get ready for that. We've got we've got other guests lined up. But in the meantime, Mark, we are excited because we continue to add content every week. YouTube is there. We're adding more content there. So please subscribe and watch our videos, comment, let us know what you think of those. Don't watch the last episode of Secret Friends Unite. It was Skype video. Listen to the podcast. It was much better. Corey was great. Then also on iTunes, subscribe, rate us, and we will read your review on the show. We want to hear from you guys, and those ratings really help us. So I think that's enough of the I guess our stuff until we get to the episode, and you'll hear all of where you can reach us, which is kind of, I'm glad we've done that now, because it creates more time for us to really focus on the cool stuff.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have to worry about missing something. One thing I want to thank anyone listening who's followed me on Twitter. I just hit 500 Twitter followers today, which is awesome. I last week noticed I was kind of close, and it was like 20 something away, and I was like, I hope I can hit this by like Friday of next week. I gave myself like a week's kind of like, let's try to get this, because I don't expect to grow super fast or anything, but if you're listening and you follow me on Twitter, thank you. 500 is kind of a cool number to hit. I was pretty happy with that today. So that's great.
Apparently
And
dad jokes and puns are the way to get there, Mark.
that's it. It's a lot of Star Wars dad jokes and puns and some shit takes and then video game stuff. I'm all over the place on Twitter, but I have some fun.
That's the whole intent of Twitter. I mean, if you take it too seriously, oh God, Twitter becomes a hellstorm. So have fun with it, folks. That's what it's there for. And we are on Twitter as well. So, you get Charlie's hot takes, you get my hot takes about the coolest things in geek. And by the way, watch the Spider-Man trailer. That's all I got to say. Enjoy it. That is hot
holy
coolness. Yep. And I'm glad it's finally out.
Absolutely. Did you see the stuff? I mean, I know you guys will cover this on Secret Friends, but like where WandaVision had that date marked on the calendar.
Oh,
like whatever.
No,
when did it drop? Yesterday, the day before, whatever. August 23rd, I think it dropped.
August
that night.
24th, I think.
And that date had a heart on it in the WandaVision show or something like that. Like it just wild stuff. I don't know if they meant that, but like if that was planned, like just slow
Chef's
golf
kiss.
Claps all around. Kevin Feige, but holy crap! Yeah, what a trailer! That's phenomenal.
Yes. And lastly, before we get into what we've been playing, we are still doing the contest for the Xbox Design Lab for Sean Nias, his daughter and son. Basically, we're designing controllers for them. They will pick the winners. It will be announced. Sean is donating $100 to each winner for the charity of their choice. We've been getting a lot of entries. We want more. And then hopefully maybe we'll be announcing it next episode live on the show. So stay tuned for that. But once again, his daughter, Minecraft fan with pink and light blue and purple. His son, Captain America. So there you go, folks. Have fun. DM myself, Mark, or at Secret Friends U on Twitter. And that's how you enter.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I hope some more people submit some controller designs. We've gotten a few cool ones so far, which I'm really excited for Sean and the crew to see those. And I've yet to unveil both of my designs, so it's exciting. I'm really pumped.
Yeah, Logan hasn't even done one yet, so I've got to get on him. I've got to actually try my suit. I'm not a design guy, but even I'll try, and I'm sure it'll be 3 shades of brown. So get ready for that, folks. Come for that. But with that, it's what we've been playing. So, Mark, I have played the same thing you did. Well, at least the first one, not the second one. So why don't we kick it off there?
Sure. Yeah, I honestly haven't been playing much. So the next, I'll talk about a couple of things that I've kind of been replaying or still dabbling in that we talked about last episode. But the big one, the new thing that we've both been playing is Avengers, the War for Wakanda expansion. But with this, there's a big Avengers update. They've changed how some things work. They've changed even some menus, made it a little bit easier, or if you've been playing since launch, maybe a little bit harder because you're used to where things are. So like for instance, to deconstruct the gear that you pick up, like the lower level gear, I usually kept up with that quite well, and now I'm just kind of like, so I have to go into mark things, and then I mark them all, and then you delete them, and it seems like it's time saving, but to find out where everything is, even in the store, to preview some of the costumes on Xbox, they changed that from Y to X. So I go in the store and I'm like, oh, cool, that's a very neat looking whatever Black Panther outfit. I'd like to see that and kind of spin it around 360, and you can't easily, you can just as easily as before, but it's a different button. So I keep pressing Y and nothing happens, and I'm like, oh right, they've changed this, so it's not what it was whatever a year ago or whenever, because
that's what everybody wanted to be changed in Avengers, the button prompts.
And it's not like they remapped anything, it's just like they just arbitrarily just changed this stupid thing. But anyway, the expansion, the real expansion, not just the weird little stupid stuff that they changed, I'm loving this. I think I'm at the end. Where I'm at is just balls to the walls tough by myself. So I might need to start recruiting some people to play this with me, because you basically have to be in 3 or 4 different places at once. Um, but it's fun up until this point. I'm loving how Black Panther plays. I don't think he's gonna be my main. I'm still really liking Thor and Cap. I kind of bounce between the two of them as my main. But I love how Black Panther moves. I love some of the move set and that kind of stuff. And I usually, I don't really fall in love with a character until I really get down into their skill set and their skill tree and really kind of make it my own, how I want to play it. And I've found those kind of loadouts for Cap and for Thor. Maybe I'll land on one for Panther that really clicks with me, and that'll really tip me over. But right now, definitely not even close to my least favorite character. I'm really loving it, and I'm loving the story, the voice acting, the direction they went with the story, the locations. Holy crap, it's fun to play in a jungle. Um, I'm just loving this all over. Short-ish kind of story. I don't know if this is the expansion that's going to get everyone back into playing Avengers, because I just don't think the game is there how they want it. It's a great single player experience that lasts a couple of hours, but to say that this is going to get a bunch of people playing the multiplayer and diving in and playing those missions over and over and over again, I still don't think it's there. I don't know. And I don't know if there's anything at this point that can get people in, because that portion of the game to me has always and continues to just kind of feel tacked on and forced, where everyone just kind of wanted I said this last time, just be Spider-Man. Come on. And this expansion is leaning more into that direction. They seem to be just kind of accepting the fact that people just want to run through this. People just want to play the story and go. And they've streamlined a lot of things where you can just bounce from mission to mission. And there's interesting stuff going on in between missions, rather than just being like, okay, well, you're back at the helicarrier, and for some reason we started you off way at the other end of the helicarrier, so you have to run to the other end of the helicarrier to start a war table mission again. At least this one, they're pretty much like, talk to this person, do this, do that, get a little story exposition, and then go on. So I'm loving it so far, but I don't know if it's going to be something I stick with long run too much longer after I'm done. Although I have been playing it a little bit before this expansion came out to kind of get ready, and it's got its claws in me a bit. But I don't know. What do you think?
They're in an interesting position, because it's basically been almost a year since this game launched, and we had heard that this game is just struggling to even get even on what it cost and how they made it.
Yep.
A lot of things were delayed because of COVID. Totally understand it. The model is interesting because it's essentially all the content is free and only the cosmetics are pay.
Mm-hmm.
The I guess all of the things you have to earn to spend on upgrades and things is so confusing to me. I don't even try to get into it. I just if I find something, I see if it's better, I equip it, I move on, and that's perfectly fine. And I think that's works well enough. And I have played both Hawkeye missions, did the campaign, and so yes, I am not as far as you though on Black Panther, but he is a lot of fun to play. He's a melee character, but he's very agile, very fast. And the being in Wakanda in a jungle is it's just a breath of fresh air, no pun intended, because it's not I'm in Utah in a canyon again, or I'm not in, I guess, and I don't even think I've spent much time in the city, which is one of the main levels. You're in a city in the main game, but it seemed like I was never there. I was always in brown landscapes, whether it was the future or just brown. So I'm glad we finally got this, which is what they needed. And we did get some new enemy classes with the Claw Squad or whatever we're calling them. And I don't know how different they are really from AIM enemies, but at least it's nice to see some different looking enemies. And the voice acting
were an interesting
fantastic
choice. They leaned heavily into the spiders, and I don't I don't know where that kind of comes in. Like, is that a thing in comics or something? Like, is it like, does Black
No,
Panther regularly fight spider drones or something? Or there's just something and there's like big ones and
Mark,
small ones and
if
some
you've
as big as
never
your head.
learned
I don't know. Like,
anything,
it's so,
spiders are the mortal enemy of panthers. I
yeah.
don't know.
It's such a weird, and they're
Sure.
small, so they're kind of hard to target sometimes or
Yeah.
realize that that's what you need to target. It's a weird design
Especially when you have a
choice.
melee character, right? And then
Yeah.
it's like they're little. So almost you'd want somebody that actually could like shoot from afar. That would be easier to manage
I
that.
find it
So yeah, it
harder
seems like a
to
foil.
aim when you're trying to throw the panther daggers. It's harder to aim
Yeah.
at the spider. So I keep hitting other things and it's like, okay, fine, I'll come over and kick you off a ledge. Let's go. But then it's such a weird design enemy choice. But yeah, I am liking that it's not just aim bots over and over and over again repeatedly. But weird choice with the spider droids.
Yeah, I mean you do, and then you do get like a mini boss, which is kind of nice. I don't know if there are others yet. I haven't encountered any. Crossbones showing up is kind of cool.
Yeah, very neat.
Which is why I think the game has been lacking, is just kind of some of those iconic villains. They
Yeah.
can just be mid tier, C tier, D tier. I don't care. Have like the Shocker show up. I don't care. Just something fun. And I'm
Yep.
hoping they do more of that, and maybe they will.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that because you don't need every, I mean, the MCU has a bad habit of killing off villains, and you don't need to do this in this game. You can have a villain escape or do something else with the villain that they can come back later or whatever, or just show up for a quick little like, ha ha ha, I'm gonna do this and distract you from the big villain or whatever. It's so much fun to see those kind of characters rather than 100,000 spider bots. That it is cool when they pop up, and I hope, like you said, they do it more. That'd be neat.
Yeah, I mean, Marvel has, Charlie and I always go back to this. Marvel has unlimited amount of just iconic looking, but you know, also ran villains that they produced in the 80s, and you see him on the cover like, who's that dude? Don't know. He looks cool. Let's see what he does. So it just is weird. It's like the economy. It's like either it costs too much to develop someone, or they feel like, oh, we need to save them for future days. And I'm thinking at this point, you guys need to really ramp up the content, because
Mm-hmm.
that's the only thing keeping people coming back to buy those $10 costumes. And at this point, I really don't think they did enough to. I mean, it's great to have this content, but the actual what you need to keep doing to keep people coming back, I feel like they did nothing to change that. They didn't change my opinion on squatting up with people to do the same thing over and over and over again, and shoot a guy in the head 85 times to finally get something decent. I think this game is going to have to go free to play ultimately, and then find another model, which
Mm-hmm.
maybe is just charged for expansions or something. I just don't know how they do that,
Well,
considering they say everything's going to be
like
free.
their DLC is so expensive right now, and they've even, I mean, they've been doing sales and cutting the cost of DLC characters, but it's still. I was looking at, there is a bundle right now actually that I think is great value if you haven't purchased these costumes already. I think it's $20 in the US for this MCU bundle. So it comes with a couple of the MCU characters and a couple of really cool designs. And it's like $20, and I factored the cost out. Even on sale, those, and I think it's a skin for every character minus Black Panther, which of course, why wouldn't you throw in a Black Panther skin to celebrate a new character being released? Yeah, dummies. But I
Oh
think
no,
it's
they did. They
all
had
of,
one for free though.
they
Did you
did
not
have
see
one for
that? There's
free.
there's
They
one for
did.
free.
Yes, I
Yeah,
did get that one for
yeah,
free, which I
yeah.
really like. I love the cape.
The cape.
Um,
Yeah.
but I really thought they'd feature all of the characters in this expansion. So if you haven't purchased the game yet, this is kind of now the new premium version of the game. But you can also just buy the character pack for the standard game for $20. But like I said, I priced it out. If you were to buy all of them, it's something like 70 or $80 or something, or like inching closer to 90 Canadian or
Yeah.
some crazy crap like that. So great value at 20, but like just shows that the individual skins are wildly expensive for a game that's already full priced and already kind of floundering like from the gate, and I
Yeah.
don't think this is the expansion that's going to convince people to drop $90 on a couple of skins to make your characters look like they do in the MCU. And that's coming from someone who's already dropped definitely not $90, but a little bit on MCU Thor and Cap
Mm-hmm.
to make them look like they did in Endgame, because I love those skins. But yeah, I just don't know. I don't know what their end game is. Pardon the pun.
Thanos showing up and doing a dance, and they bring on stars and make it a battle royale game.
I really think they could go free to play though, because if the game was
I
free,
think they could too.
if the game was free, even if the expansions continued to be free, or if you paid a little premium price, let's say $20 or $30 for an expansion pass where you got all of them or a season or something like that. But I really think that if you got this game for free, the same way that people look at Fortnite or most of these battle royale games, it's like, well, I got the game for free, so I'm going to go put some money into
Sure.
the skins if I really like this game. If I'm playing and having a good time with my friends, I don't mind dropping $20 on a couple of skins here and there. But yeah, right now I think they need to change their strategy. But I am very much enjoying War for Wakanda. So if you haven't checked it out, don't because I don't think they're going free to play anytime soon. So just go check it out.
Or I mean, I got a copy of the Avengers game from GameFly for $10.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean,
it's been going on.
there's ways to get it
Excuse
cheap.
me, going
Yeah.
on sale like crazy. Little like fly
Yeah.
or something going around me. If you notice me, by the way, I'm just going to take a break now. Speaking of being in the jungle, it's like 99% humidity here and the hottest day of the summer so far. So it's like all day. It's felt like I think close to 40 degrees Celsius, which is just disgusting.
305 degrees. Oh,
Something like that. Yeah,
nice.
I'll do the comparison, but it's I really hoped by this time in the evening, it's like 10:30 p.m. and it's still like
that's the worst.
incredibly humid. Yeah, it's gross. So if you notice me, like if you're watching the video and you just notice me melting through it, pay no mind. It's just disgusting. So
Can we put a marker in here?
no, go nuts. No, leave that in.
Well, okay, cool. So we had a weather break. So
Yep.
if you're taking notes, but it's very nice here. It's kind of like the weather's almost like Wakanda, Mark, in Canada. Who knew?
That's it, exactly. I feel like I'm in the tropical
Congo
jungle. Yeah,
the Canadian Congo.
It's nasty. Yeah. Anyway, so I might as well just finish off what else I've been playing, because there's not much new. I've been playing Pick Tui still, because it's a nice, fun, relaxing puzzle game. And if you haven't checked that out, check it out on Switch from our friends at Tui. And I've been playing more Pokémon Unite. I'm hooked on that stupid little game that I never thought I'd enjoy. And they are adding Blastoise. I just read that today. I think that's September 1st, I want to say. So if you're playing Pokemon Unite, add me as a friend. I have not been playing games much the past week. I've just been busy and trying to fight something off. I went to bed really early yesterday, but I'm feeling okay today. So I'm hoping I get to play more games, but War for Wakanda has really taken up most of my time, aside from like jumping in and playing like a match or two of Pokemon and like a couple of puzzles on Pick Tui. So that's it for me, really. So Todd, what else have you been playing?
Yeah, so I have been playing all over the place. I've been playing some demos, some things, but I just wanted to clue on this. There is a game that I am reviewing that I needed to give a little bit more time. So I'll talk about that game next episode. I just didn't feel like I gave it enough of my time to really give it a real review, because I want to give
Sure.
the publisher for thanking them for giving me the code, for giving it my attention, and I give them a fair shake. So with that, though, 12 minutes. Came to Game Pass, and I think it's also just on Steam if you want to buy it there, or you can buy it on Xbox as well. This is a game from Annapurna, and this studio essentially created a time paradox click and point adventure game. The game is from an overhead perspective. It's got a very minimalistic art style. But the notable thing is the voice talent. It is Willem Dafoe. It is James McAvoy, Daisy Ridley, and I think that's it. There's really only 3 characters in this game. And the interesting part about this game is you have 12 minutes and then the game resets. And it's all about a murder mystery, or a mystery, kind of like a detective noir type of film. But it's about this man who shows up at his apartment, and this gentleman who says he's a cop shows up, and bad things happen. I don't want to give too much away if you are going to play the game, but essentially it just resets. And every time it resets, you have the opportunity to change variables of what you did. So like I said, it's click and point, which just means if you're old school, you just look at the environment, see what you can interact with, and see what you then can either combine or use in the different piece of the environment. And the game, and the level is very small. You're in a small apartment. There's a closet. It's a kind of a efficiency apartment. So your kitchen and your living room, dining room, it's one room. There's a bathroom and there's a bedroom. So that's your area to work in. You can close doors, you can turn on faucets, you can do things like that. You can open the fridge. So, and then you can just look at things, try things, and it tells you, yep, that's it, or it's not. So with that, I did finish the game, and there is a true ending. The game has a great concept, but I struggled with this game. And I'm hearing a lot of people say the same thing, that this game has great ambitions to be more than it is, but it struggles because of its gameplay. And it is funny because the concept of repeating what you do isn't unique in video games. Video games are all about that. You die and you repeat again. So for me, it actually doesn't feel like it's that unique for the medium. Right. It's unique if it was in a different medium, comic book, TV, or something like that, or a movie. And you've seen that a couple times with, Live, Die, Repeat, the Tom Cruise movie. Looper's kind of like that too, Groundhog's Day. So, but there's always more opportunities to do something different with that. So this game also struggled. Great voice talent, but I think everybody had maybe about, I don't know, the amount of dialogue was very limited. So you heard them say the same thing over and over and over again for 90% of the game, because you spend most of your time doing the same things over and over and over again before you get something new to try and figure out what's next. And this game has video game logic. I sometimes call it Nintendo logic, where it's like, I would have never picked to do that. And that was a problem with old click and point games, like the King's Quest games. It's like, whoever thought you'd do that? I'm like, no, it's like, and one object was even out of your viewpoint. And I struggled. And it was funny because I actually had a game Sherpa for this game, Mark. Chris, our buddy Chris from 1 Hour, One Decision.
Awesome. Yep.
When I mentioned I was playing it, he said, let's take this offline and you can ask me questions. So we played it back and forth. And I was like, oh my God. And it's like, and I'm like, I'm stuck at this point. And he was trying to be vague, so he wasn't, directly walking me through it. But it got to a point where I'm like, I did have to go to a walkthrough, because I'm like, I'm not enjoying myself anymore. I feel like I've done everything, tried it. And I'm like, and with the game repeating itself after 12 minutes, because you do run out of time and it repeats itself. So the game probably, if you play it through, I think maybe took me 4 to 5 hours. And I will say this is an M. Night Shyamalan plot. Because at the very end, I'm like, so I need to go back and see what really happened, all these things, because there's a lot of leaps of faith in this. I'm just like, wow. So check it out. There's some people that love this game, but I don't know. I think you have to really want to love this game more so than it was, because I can't say the voice acting was that incredible. I didn't even realize it was Daisy Ridley. And not saying because it didn't sound like her, because I'm like, it wasn't impressive. It was just phoning in. And that's the problem with real actors. And I feel like if you've been watching What If, voice actors that do things like that, I think are so much better than regular actors when it comes to animated, because I just think it's just not their medium. So
it
in this
definitely
instance,
depends
I'm
on the
like,
actor, but I've noticed some in What If, it's like, okay, yeah, they got the real actor back, but like that dude or that woman or that person is like just not used to being in a recording studio. Like that is either a stage or film actor. Let them loose, let them chew up some scenery. Like, just do not put that person in a booth. Not for them.
no, or they're bored, or they don't take it serious, or they're just not used to a voice director.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or
Yeah.
it's just like, it's hit or miss for sure.
Yeah. So check it out. But yeah, and it's funny, I've been having this feeling with Game Pass this year. They had this great ambition to have all these games that are like, oh, they're going to be so impressive. And most of them have just been kind of like, okay, Game Pass games. Kind of like, oh, it's a movie on Netflix. I mean, it kind of feels like none of them.
Gaming this year, though. Like there was some stuff that I saw out of, and we'll get to this later, but I didn't watch like most of the Gamescom stuff today because I was too busy. But like I saw some stuff coming out of it, like Nintendo got some, there was some kind of a award category for Nintendo. There was like 2 games in it, and it was just people were like, why? Why is that even a thing?
Why was there even awards for these?
Anytime?
I don't know how are there even awards for this? Because like I think, and I would say Halo Infinite won an award. I'm like, but how? What did people even play? Halo is not even. Nobody's even touched the game. So I'm like, that was
unless
so hard.
It's a future hype award or something, and
yeah, the Mountain Dew, like, Jeff Keighley, Hideo Kojima award.
Like yeah. So I mean, I just, to me, that's just kind of gaming this year, really.
Yeah, it did get a lot of hype, though. I think people were like, oh, this is going to be the biggest thing in the world. I think that did not help this game. Kind of like, was it No Man's Sky? Same thing with that game. Little game, hyped up. And ultimately, that's a lot of pressure on a small studio. So, but yeah, try it out. But it is nothing more than, I would say, a small game that is trying some unique things. And I would love to see what they do next. If they can tweak the gameplay, and they can really understand the medium a little bit better and what unique things gaming brings to the table versus just, I want to tell this unique story. And
so
maybe
with the story and with the gameplay loop, you said you played it with Chris, or kind of perpendicular.
A little bit. Yeah, I stopped because we were just texting each other when I played it. Yeah.
So basically, if I played it right now, if I stopped and just went and played it, would I have the same playthrough-ish that you did? Or can I go in completely different paths if I notice something in the room before you? Like could this game be, it sounds like on a much smaller scale and a much more limited scale, but could we have those Breath of the Wild moments where I leave the plateau and I go west, and you leave the plateau and you go east, and someone else leaves it and they go north, and we all run into a whole bunch of different shit, and we get to the same place at the end, but the journey there is wildly different? Like, is that where this game could find appeal, where if I play it and I'm talking to you and I'm like, oh man, the first thing I did was like try to open the fridge and then pop the toaster, and it scared this person, and then a bird flew in and this happened, and it's like, or would it just be like, no, yeah, A, B, and C happened, and for you A, B, and C happened, and we got to D, and that was it? Like, what is there any kind of fun in that water cooler moment, or is this just kind of like they tried something and it kind of went?
No, the game is very much a linear experience, and it's just trying to get there. It's kind of like trial, but the options to try some things are very limited. Now, I would say there's one thing you could try that like I didn't think about and I read about. I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool, but there just weren't a lot of those. There's maybe, I would say, like sometimes you can just do nothing in the game. By doing nothing, it will create a ending. So that is that type of experience. But like I said, you run out of those pretty quickly. And it's the frustration is like, I'm just stumped and I don't know what to do. And I'm not having any fun anymore because I've touched everything and I've heard the same line of dialogue over and again. So I'm like, it takes the whimsy away. Now, if they could do something like that and add more options but like I said, you've got essentially 2 rooms, 3, call the closet, if you want to call the closet a room, that's a room. But there's like one thing you can touch and one thing you can do. That's it.
All right.
So, but yeah,
Gotcha.
I think it's worth trying. I think you and Loren, I think, could have a good time because you could go back and forth and try it. So I think that would definitely be something I would say try it together because that could be a much better experience. But you also might be like yelling at each other at the end and saying, "What the hell?" and "Why is this happening?" So, and it could make some unique experiences, conversations after too.
Interesting. All right, I did download it, so I hope that I will. It's going to be a busy weekend. We have a family reunion going on, so if I get to some gaming, but hopefully by the next episode, I'll have some gaming time and get to this, and we'll see what I think.
Next, though, I played a demo of a game that I think we saw maybe at an Xbox, like their reel at the, I think it was their July E3 experience. I think this is one of those like indie games that kind of really stood out. It's called Rainbow Billy, The Curse of the Leviathan. There's a demo on Steam right now, and this game is the best way to explain it. It looks like Cuphead. It's kind of an action adventure game with some platforming, and it has turn-based combat, like turn-based RPG.
Yes. I'm like looking up images for this right now because it wasn't ringing a bell, but as soon as I saw it,
the art style is adorable. It looks like Cuphead. I mean, there's nothing else to say. And it's kind of interesting because there's an adventure here. The interesting part is there's actually, I thought it was something else. I thought it was also like in parentheses, kind of at the end of the name, your true colors, because that's truly what this game is. The combat's conversation, which is weird, you'd say. It's you meet these monsters or potential companions, but you have to talk to them, and you either talk or listen to them. They all have issues, which is so weird. Like they have like parent issues, they have confidence issues, all of these things, and you talk to them. When you open up the door with your conversation, you then basically break down their barriers or their defenses. So take as you will. The narrative leads to itself. And you have to figure out what the best way to each person. Is it talking or just listening? Is it being bold in your conversation or reserved? It's a lot of that. But it's turn-based. So if you make the wrong decision, you get attacked as well. But you do get like a companion you earn, or when they join you, they have special abilities as well that help you along the way. And there's like little missions you go on to, like, it's like fetch quests and things like that too. You ride a boat around to go to different areas and unlock this area to bring color back in the world. And I got stuck. So I don't know why I got stuck. I'm like, I tried every conversation combination. I'm like getting frustrated. So, but I really liked what it was. Now, I don't know if that combat will get old after a while. And I think a game like this would be perfect for more like an action platformer, like almost like a Mario type of game would be a lot of fun. But I just love the art style and aesthetic, and I want to see more people do things with this type of art style because I think it's fantastic. And it's well thought out game. So I think it's going to be somebody's favorite game of the year. Cool. And I think it's definitely family friendly. I think a lot of kids would love it because maybe it helps them with their confidence or works those issues. So it's just really unique. And I just was really pleased with the game. And I'm like, very cool. Good job. Awesome. And then lastly, Death's Door. Now this is the game I actually bought, Mark, on Xbox, which is just like, whoa. I never buy things on Xbox because Game Pass is there. It's my Game Pass box. and if something comes to Xbox and it's an exclusive, I'm like, why isn't that on Game Pass? So, which is just a weird thing. It's like a weird like mindset, right? Because I think people say, oh, Xbox, you don't need to buy games. Well, they got an exclusive that's highly regarded. That's $20 that you can't get for free. So I did buy this game. And I think I had a Microsoft Bing rewards card I put towards it. So, but this game is heavily lauded. It's like a Zelda-like, I guess you'd say, because it is, you explore the world. The combat is with a sword, and you also have an arrow attack as well. And it's all about this crow that has to go get souls, essentially. And you collect them, and then you can unlock things. And that's your mission. The game is hard, but it's not like a Souls-like. Well, I guess it's more like a Souls-like than a roguelike. So hard and not a lot of checkpoints.
Okay.
and no map. So, and Death's Door is you enter doors, and that's where you start over again in a mission or in a map. Cool. So it's a beautiful game. It's made by a small team. Aesthetically, the music is beautiful. I'm enjoying it, but I have a few nits to pick that make it not. Makes me try to figure out why this is game of the year. And I know some people like Metroid likes and things like that, Zelda likes, what you're going to call it. The game has some interesting gameplay in regards to feel. So when you're standing and hitting your sword back and forth, do you really want to be moving forward? Like if you're standing and you're just hitting the button, do you like to move forward?
Not always, no.
I like to be able to control precisely when I have combat.
Yeah.
This game, you start moving forward. So I kept like running into things, and it caused my death. And I'm like, why did they choose that?
Yeah.
I mean, is it momentum for a character, like saying if you move, it's going to move you forward? So that annoyed me. And I'm like, I don't like that. And it's like, I don't think I'm going to like it a lot more. Maybe I'll get better at it. But that was just something that when it's a game that's that hard, and it leads to me frustration and errors.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think that's my mistake. I feel like that's a design decision somebody made for some reason that I just don't get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if there is momentum in a game that when you swing, you are bringing that momentum forward, then you would assume that the level design would accommodate that. So as soon as you say that there's momentum in your swings, but you're falling off of ledges, you're falling off of stages, like, oh, that's just poor level, unless you're just like for some reason sticking close to ledges, which I highly doubt. But
well, it was really the combat. It was the combat where I'm near an enemy, and if you touch them, you get injured. So that's the problem, right? So it's like if I'm this far away from you, but every time I swing my sword, I get that much closer to you, and then I hit you and I get damage, and you don't get a lot of health in this game. So it was just like, what am I missing? Maybe there's something there that I'm just doing wrong that I need to learn, because this game, I think, has a lot of potential for me. But the other problem I don't like, there's no map. So you go through and then you have to repeat it. Enemies respawn after you die. You come back and go through it again. But I would say there's nothing remarkable about a level that makes you remember where things were at. And it's not like a one linear piece. There's places you can go and you have to explore like a Zelda game. Right. So, and just imagine if there was a Zelda game with no map, right? I mean, you'd be like, but there's a lot of memorable things in a dungeon, like in a Zelda dungeon. Remember, if there was no map in a Zelda dungeon, that would get really frustrating after a while. Like, where do I go? And I got to run into these enemies again. So, God, I'm glad I had Rainbow Billy this week, because I sound like a negative Nancy, but I will say, so I think this game is for a lot of people, and you hear a lot of people love this game, and it's like one of the highest reviewed games of the year. So, who knows? Maybe Logan will play it and love it and tell me, Dad, I'm dumb. So, but I'll leave it there. Check out Death's Door if you're interested in a difficult game with a lot of charm and really pretty. But lastly, I played like 2 minutes of Psychonauts 2, launched.
Oh, awesome.
I am so excited for this game. It's beautiful. I tried to play the first game again, but man, it's an old game that the mechanics just I'm struggling with mechanics. This game is beautiful. I cannot wait to play it more. I really, this is probably going to be the game I focus on the next 2, 3, 4 weeks. I'm so excited for it.
Awesome. Yeah, another game that I set to download from my phone, but I haven't checked out my Xbox. So very excited to jump into Psychonauts 2.
Well, talk about what we played, but now what we actually watched in the news this week. It's Gamescom week. This is the biggest game show in Europe. It's still not with people, but it is a presentation. Xbox kicked it off with their Xbox, I don't know what we called this thing. It's the Xbox Gamescom stream that happened the day before. And there was a lot of people thinking, oh, this is going to be a big one. And then Aaron Greenberg said, don't get yourself hyped up. It's going to be updates to games you know are coming. Mm-hmm. But do you think, Mark, and we're going to talk about this in actually the topic of the show, expectations and hype. So do you think people really kept their expectations in check?
Oh, of course. Everyone on the internet was fully rational and behaved very, very well.
You know what, Mark? I'd like to say that's true, but people really wanted the latest and greatest. They wanted big surprises. Ultimately, I think they wanted Halo information. But
well, yes,
we'll get to that.
Yep.
So essentially, this was a video showcase with a couple of hosts with some guests there. And essentially, all they did was introduce trailers and then talk to people that had something to do with the game. Paris Lily, and I remember trying to remember the woman that's involved, and she does a lot of Xbox events, and both great people, great questions, great interactions with people they were talking to. But man, it was long. And I think it just didn't deliver what people were wanting. Yeah, we got updates, but there weren't a lot of surprises. I think the biggest surprise to this was Xbox Cloud Gaming, meaning we are going to be able to use cloud gaming on your Xbox console.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be a native app like anything else on Xbox, and it's going to be the same. And I'm not sure if there'll be additional features beyond what you can already do on your mobile device or PC mobile browser. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people are excited about this because this is the gateway for owning an Xbox One and playing your Game Pass games in the future, because we know that support is ending. And then another benefit of this is not having to download games and playing them right away. No patches, no wait for things to install, and you have to worry about your storage space. And so you're only limited by your bandwidth, essentially.
Yeah, that's the really exciting thing for me, especially as someone who I've said this before on the show. I go through the Game Pass like weekly, monthly quests and that kind of stuff. And if there's something that says play this game or do this in this game, then that's usually my gateway of trying things out. And sometimes I stick with the game, and other times I just jump in for 5 minutes to do what they want me to do to get my 25 or 100 points for that week and complete some more of my quests and earn free stuff. And to not have to download some of those games fully and just be able to like quickly start up. I've done that from my phone a few times and just said like, you know what, screw it. I am not downloading this game, especially if touch controls are enabled and I don't have to like sync a controller to my phone. Like 100%. So this, even if this only opens up that option for me, like I'm still a little bit hyped for that. But like if this actually really works well and I get the choice between downloading some games and playing them natively or just hopping right in, like that's a game changer for sure.
Yeah, I think this is the gateway to get Game Pass streaming on your TV. This is phase one. Phase two, I think this is just to prove positive. People have it there, and I think at CES is when we see TVs with the native app. We see maybe Roku saying, "Yep, we've signed a deal." All the different Fire Stick, maybe, I don't know, Apple TV. I don't know. They don't play together, do they? They don't like each other. No. So
I'm really hoping Apple changes their tune, but I think it might. Especially in the TV space, it might force them if everyone else, like you said, the Fire TV, Roku is built into so many TVs right now. If you start building cloud gaming into TVs and even bundling some with a controller, I can see right now, like just maybe not this year, but next year's like Black Friday sales of buy this, 55-inch series blank TCL with an Xbox controller, and it's got Roku built in, and you get a month or 3 months of Game Pass. Like it's going to put some pressure on for Apple to be like, oh, well, we make TV stuff too. We can play. But that kind of stuff is super exciting.
Absolutely. And I think we'll see a third tier of Game Pass where it's just Game Pass streaming and it's $5.
Yeah.
I think because I think it's a lot to ask somebody to pay $15 a month for streaming only. And because a lot of people just don't want to buy a console. So this is one way you can get it there. And by the way, then you can get it on your phone too, and you can get it on your tablet and it's $5 a month. And that's $5 a month you wouldn't get from somebody at all. So that $5, that's how they get to 2 billion screens. It's really the Trojan horse. Very cool. I love this. I think Xbox is so forward thinking, and they'll find some, and based on their marketing, they'll do a great job marketing it too. So kudos to Xbox for that. Then we got Forza Horizon 5. It's coming. I mean, if I don't know what else you needed to know, but what's cool is you're gonna get a cool new controller that is kind of like Jackson Pollock with a little see-through element. That's that see-through yellow color, so you can see inside, which I love that see-through aesthetic. It's there too. Xbox is putting out so many different controllers. Xbox, you can design your own, Mark, as you said.
They just keep killing it, and like every time I see a controller that I want or like, they come out with a new one the next week that's like, no, maybe I want that one. So like right now, I want a Design Lab controller, but I can't decide because I've designed like 27 of the damn things and I want all of them. So I can't decide which one to order. And Loren wants a controller too. So I need to get essentially 2 controllers by the end of the day and pick just 2 because we don't really need any more than that because I still have Xbox One controllers lying around. But we've kind of justified this getting 2 controllers because my black one broke that came with the Xbox Series X. So right now I'm using an Xbox One controller, but it was sold on the, what's it called? The aqua blue one with the swirly whirly.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. The new one that's got like grips on the back. Yeah, so that's like $70. Yeah. It's not crazy.
She loved that one. And then I showed her the Horizon one and she loved that one. And then I saw the Halo one today and I'm like, maybe I don't need a Design Lab because that's dope AF. I just Xbox is just killing it so much with controllers. It's ridiculous.
It's
oh man.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about controllers in a second. Then we got Crusader Kings 3 that's coming, I believe, to Game Pass. It's a PC game. A lot of people love it. It's not for me. Wasteland 3 is getting new content for free. It's coming to Game Pass if you really like that game. It's a unique game. It's kind of like one of those CRPG type of games where you've got people, it's got a little bit of tactical combat as well, but people really enjoy that game. State of Decay 2 got some new content coming as well, so if you like that type of survival community building type of zombie games, is more to come there. They still have State of Decay 3 coming, so this is maybe a way to get people engaged with that franchise until the new one comes out. Sea of Thieves has something new, Mark. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a new event going on. I actually did see part of this because I follow so much Sea of Thieves stuff. So there's an event. There's Borderlands ship. I want to call it skins, but I don't know, ship theme that you can kind of unlock by doing stuff in the event. So yeah, very exciting stuff. Sea of Thieves just keeps adding and just keeps growing, and it's exciting.
Absolutely. Flight Simulator got some more content coming. The Reno Air Races, which basically it's just one of those, like, it's almost like an air show where they have basically it's like the Red Bull competition kind of stuff. Yeah. So if you are into that, it's coming, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to keep coming. And we obviously are getting that Top Gun content coming as well. Psychonaut 2, just they're showing the game. They want people to play it. If you missed the first game, which most people did, it's there. And Dying Light got a new trailer. That game is coming in December. I didn't love the first Dying Light because I didn't really love the first person like that traversal.
Yeah.
But this one looks cool too. It's not coming to Game Pass, but it's going to be a cool game.
Very cool.
Yeah. So it was like the precursor to Gamescom. And I just want to say, my son would kill me if I didn't announce this. Destiny 2 had a huge announcement about their new expansion, their new season. Logan is just a big Destiny 2 junkie. He's actually talked me into playing Destiny, getting back into that game. They announced like cross-play is now live in Destiny 2, which is awesome. That's awesome. Game Pass though. But there's still no, Destiny 2 is still not on PC Game Pass. So we're going to have to probably buy it on PC so Logan can play it and I can play it because we only have one TV to share the console. So, but yeah, he's excited about that. So if you're interested in that, I would say check out Tower Casuals with Corey and Josh over at Boss Rush Games. Yeah. They got you covered. Go check those guys out.
I don't know if it was part of this or part of another thing. The Gunk, we got a new trailer for that I saw. Was that part of this showcase or was that separate? Because that's an Xbox
Good question.
exclusive game, but yeah, the Gunk looks awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, Gunk is gonna, and that was the funny part because it was like originally said it was like coming out in September. I'm like, but they haven't shown anything. It's coming out December now, I believe.
Okay,
and it's part of Game Pass, and it is. It looks cool.
Yeah.
I don't know much about the game still, but there was a trailer that showed more about it. So the Gunk, and it's unlike something they've ever made before. Yeah. So I'm glad they're trying new things. Now, the main meat of Gamescom was today. I just finished watching all of the trailers, all of the weirdness, a very weird Lindsey Sterling performance where she played music from the new Tales game, which I know she's a good performer plays fantastic, but this felt like it was just, she was like violin syncing because she was doing a weird dance around, and I'm like, that doesn't even look live.
She sometimes can go a little theatrical, and it's, I mean, if she's playing while doing all that kind of stuff, but I watched some of her videos and stuff.
I don't think if she was, it sounded pre-recorded.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's a hell of a performer.
It was just weird. Yeah. It was just like, And then the background was like, oh, I don't know. I'm not into that series at all. So maybe it was a big thing. Like Ryan Turford loves that game. So maybe he was like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. But I was like, it was a long performance and it looked like she was at the Renaissance Festival is all I'll say. Just weird.
Can't wait to see the behind the scenes on her TikTok later. That's going to be fun.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I mean, it was probably 2+ hours long, and it was well done. And they had people there, and they showed trailers, and then they basically talked about them. That was the big thing about the show. It kicked off, this is weird. Sorry. The trailer I've got looks to be last year's information, not this year's, Mark. Get that. So I'm going to pause this. Okay, we're back. So now that I've got the right link, folks, we're going to talk about what happened at the event. So very quickly, there were some surprises, which I thought was big. This is kind of cool. I didn't expect as much new as we got. Typically, Gamescom is showing things you've already heard before. So we did get Call of Duty Vanguard. Finally got a campaign trailer. Lots of mixed feelings about this game because I want to support the people that made this game, but the company is just, we already talked about the company. Yep. So I don't know what to feel because I want the people that made this game, not to be punished for it and their work to be ignored, but it's like, I don't know how you support these games, quite honestly, at this point.
That's so tough. And I've listened to so many podcasts since the last time we talked, because it was pretty fresh. And it's tough. It's a tough balance because, like you said, you want to support, I don't want to say the little people that are making it, but just anyone in the credits. There's so, watch game credits when you finish a game or in the menu or whatever, and it goes on for minutes. And it's not just a couple of people that suck. It's a whole bunch of people that you hope are awesome and you want to support their work, but also you don't want to support the higher ups that suck. So it's a really tough balancing act. And part of me is kind of like, you know what? Those people that I want to support already got paid because they're probably paid hourly, instead of getting something off the sales of this game.
I'm sure they don't get huge bonuses for performance.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So
Bobby Kotick does, though.
Yeah. But exactly, those people that you want to punish that are letting this kind of behavior go, like they're the people that you will hurt if you don't buy this. So part of me is kind of like, you know what? Maybe set some stuff out, but at the same time, it's like, but even people I follow on Twitter are like, I'm so excited. I worked on the music or the sound design or the level design or this or that for this game. And I'm so excited. And you see this level of excitement. It's like, I hate not wanting to, I follow along with this person. I know what they like on Twitter. I know kind of a little bit of their personality, and it's not always just about work, but they're excited about this work. And it's like,
this isn't about the artist either. Sucks. It's not the artist that made the problem. And that's the problem. Yeah. The people that made the product are going to suffer because people not play it. They won't get the attributes or the accolades. And the people, if it does well, then they're still not going to get rewarded for their work either.
Exactly. But you see the stock price keep dropping, and it's like, okay, maybe people are talking with their wallets. Maybe this is working. And if the stock price keeps dropping, then the shareholders are going to say, look, make some changes, do the right thing, fire these people, or do a systematic change top to bottom. So it's like that holding out, the canceling your WoW subscription, doing this kind of stuff is seemingly working. So hopefully the people that are awesome understand that that's a necessary evil, but it's just, the whole situation sucks and there's no right answer. But I want to support those people who have been hurt and wronged, and hope that all of the awesome people that are working hard eventually not only get rewarded, but also have a safe and welcoming place to work. And those people that suck, for lack of a better word, are get what's coming to them. Or I guess it's hard to get hyped for these games, though. I'll be honest. For me, it's just,
I will say though, I think the number one thing you can do if you still want to play this game, don't buy it until March.
Yep.
Because guess what? That's going to show everyone there that it didn't have the biggest year.
Mm-hmm.
The stock market will react to the lack of performance on it when they have their first quarterly sales. Get it after, because at that point, then essentially all the actions that most likely could happen will have taken place. So if that's what you want to do, you still want to play this game, wait. Yep. That's the best thing I can say, and then play it later, and then praise.
And really, for me anyway, that's what I've been doing with Call of Duty. I've never, for the last few years, I haven't been.
I get it from GameFly. I don't buy it.
Yeah,
I pay nothing for
I
these
wait
games,
for it to go on that heavy spring sale that it's like everyone's playing this, because I haven't been jumping in the multiplayer. I play the story mode and I'm good to go. But they're always such an artistic showcase, especially with the new generation of consoles, that
they look beautiful.
Again, it brings me that point. It's like, I want to support the art that goes into this, but it's like, this year I just feel icky, and there's so many other games that it's like,
absolutely. It's an easy decision for me. Call of Duty's not my favorite. I'm a multiplayer guy. I can wait to play the 4-hour campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, we did have, I think the big thing that was so surprising, no Halo at Xbox's event. And what do? They bring out Halo for this event, which it's just a weird decision. I don't understand it, but maybe they felt like they'd get more viewers at this event, where if you don't love Xbox, you're at least going to see this, and it might change for me. But basically, the other part was we got a multiplayer cinematic intro. Still no campaign information. Still no campaign visuals. And this game is launching December 8th. I'm still so confused by this game. I want to hear the story about what happened to this game. And we got announced that the campaign is delayed. The co-op campaign is delayed, and so is Forge. So this is essentially, you're not getting a full release at launch, which is frustrating. It's disappointing, because I really want to play Halo with my friends, and I'm not a multiplayer guy. So it's a weird experience, but a cinematic intro for multiplayer was really interesting. I will say that. It was about and I don't know if you saw it, Mark, but it was basically this woman, you see her, basically she's trying to avoid the Covenant. She's hiding, and then she essentially gets rescued by Spartans. And then you fast forward and you find out she becomes basically a Spartan, basically like a drill sergeant, training Spartans. Right. So it was a cool experience. And so they're going to have some type of storyline with the multiplayer. So very cool, but they didn't really even show any gameplay of the multiplayer, again, things you hadn't seen. So, but December 8th coming. In with that, they announced a new Elite 2 controller, $200. Looks pretty. I mean,
and a new console.
It's a Halo controller.
Special edition console. Which also looks pretty.
With a controller that's also, it's a standard controller, but it does have a design. It's $550 though. That was what I was trying to Are they just charging more for paint?
I'd say so. Paint and special edition. I mean,
usually you don't pay more for it unless it comes with a game. And this game, because it's Game Pass, it just seemed like a weird thing. It's like paying more. Nintendo doesn't charge more for their special editions, do they? unless it comes with the game and they charge you for the game.
Yeah, usually game stuff, but you're seeing this with controllers for Xbox. I mean, some of the controllers, like I said, even some of the controllers I've been looking at, so you can get like the standard color controllers that I think Canadian are $70 or $75 or something like that, and it jumps up to I think 85 for. I think that Horizon one was 85. So like $10,
I think it's $70 in the
difference
US
or something like that, right? But it's I guess, if there's more effort put into the hardware, then I guess they're gonna charge for that. And you're getting a special edition controller that may be exclusive to this console. I haven't seen anything on that, but so a special edition controller and a special edition, these are going to sell out like crazy. You're going to see these on the scalper market. You probably will already. So I think, if they can charge a premium for it, we've seen video games companies doing worse.
The likelihood that you're going to be able to get one of these easily is probably limited too, because the consoles are hard to find. The big miss is the Xbox expansion card.
Yes.
They didn't make one.
Right.
They have a Seagate like standard hard drive you can buy. That's like, but the little chip that looks like Cortana you put in the back, they didn't even do anything with that. Yep. Come on, guys. Big miss.
Swing and a miss.
Yeah. I don't know. I saw the design of the console. I'm like, it just looks, to me, it wasn't striking. It was just a lot of shapes. And I'm like, I wanted something cooler than that. I don't know. It's just to me, I don't know if there's something iconic about that design that I'm like, yep, that looks like Halo versus it looks like Lines.
I thought it was a very pretty design. I really liked it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. But yeah, so Halo's December 8th. It's coming out with the campaign and multiplayer at launch. It's there. So be ready for that. Gamescom basically continued with something I was surprised. I didn't know what this game was. Saints Row is back.
Reboot.
And it looks very different. Which I'm guessing it's time, because the original Saints Row came out on I think it was a launch title on the original Xbox 360.
I was going to say, yeah, let's going back. Yeah. PS2, PS3, something like that.
Yeah. And I think at this point, you can't really you can remaster that game, but it's still going to probably feel clunky a little bit, not so great. This game looked beautiful. I don't know the gameplay. If it's going to be different or much than Saints Row, but Saints Row has always been that more goofy open world type of game that GTA kind of stopped being.
Yeah,
GTA kind of took itself more seriously.
Goofy, wacky take on GTA. So I imagine that the gameplay, I would hope, is going to be an evolved form of that, a more updated form of that, and keep some of the wackiness. And because GTA has gotten really far away from that.
Oh yeah,
but I
more
think
social commentary versus
yeah. So I think there's room for a GTA style gameplay loop with wackier shit happening.
Yeah, although it seems like there was a lot of backlash. They're like, man, this game is it's kind of neutered. It's not going to have the crazy weird stuff that the old game did. But I don't think you can do 2005 in 2021.
No. You definitely cannot.
It's going to be weird. We already talked about the Call of Duty. Basically, that game, though, is going to be a alternate take on World War II, which I find the concept cool, and I like that. It's a kind of an alternate history, because they've already gone back to World War II a billion times. Then we got a surprise, and we had heard rumors about this game. There was going to be a turn-based XCOM-style Marvel game. Well, E3 came and went, and we're like, this is going to really happen? Well, Firaxis, the company that makes those styles of games, is making Marvel's Midnight Suns. The trailer was awesome.
Badass.
I really thought this looked cool as hell. Yep. It's dealing with the supernatural. Apparently, they did create a new character that is unique, a Marvel hero that's new. Yeah, very cool. And the characters are updated slightly, but what I'd say is they get the feel of the characters right. Like the Ghost Rider character, that's from the comics. That's the modern take on the comic of the character.
Yeah, that's
which a lot of people may think, oh, that looks horrible. Like, that's how he looks in the comics now.
And that's how he looked in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't know how many fans of that show are still out, but it's not the Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider. This is the modern Ghost Rider. So it's a cool. I liked the designs because they did a mix. It looks like they have their regular suits, but they also have these kind of, I'm going to say, Midnight Sun, occult, mystical suits.
Yeah, too. Mystically enhanced suits, probably for like to give them protection from vampires or something. Yeah.
So the list on this one: Wolverine, Blade, Magic, Ghost Rider, Iron Man, Cap, Doctor Strange. Am I missing anyone? And the Hunter, who's the customizable protagonist, stopping Lilith, who is the Hunter's mother. I think if I got that from the trailer.
Oh, Captain Marvel 2.
And Captain Marvel.
Miss Marvel 2 in the back. Yeah. I just think it looks really cool. I will tell you this. I'm not very good at those styles of games, but I will give it a try.
Absolutely.
I hope it's good. I hope there's an easy mode because I just want to play it and have fun with it. I don't want to be good at it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not.
Yeah, for sure.
We're getting a gameplay trailer of this in September. So like the first week of September. So we're going to see more of it, how it actually plays. Right. And for Firaxis, those guys, they don't fail at those type of games. So you'll be happy with it. Yeah. Then games, basically Horizon Forbidden West finally got a release date. I liked how they announced this. Basically, the one of the head leads, they basically said, we are hitting our marks, but we do not know what's going to happen with COVID, and we do not want to have a bad work environment. So we're coming out February 18th, 2022, which quite honestly, I'm perfectly happy with that date because it gets me out of the holiday season and it gives us game room to breathe. Because the last time Horizon came out, it was right around the same time as Breath of the Wild. Yeah. Which took a little bit of its thunder away. So I think this is good because Breath of the Wild 2, if it comes out similar to how it did before,
that's not
coming out until March.
Imagine Nintendo.
Well, even if it comes out like March, it comes like March 3rd, so like 3 weeks later. Yeah,
Nintendo just comes out and drops something in December, January, like, hey, PS, you're going to be able to play Breath of the Wild 2 in 3 weeks or some crazy shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Just makes Sony just pull their hair out in clumps. That'll be great.
Yeah. One other thing, and there's some other games. I just want to hit the major highlights. Mm-hmm. Far Cry 6 got more information about that game. I'm in that game. I'm not in that game. I'm all in on that game.
Todd, I didn't know you were branching out in your career.
Oh, Mark, my work in game acting is renowned for being fantastic. That's not Giancarlo Esposito. That's me actually voicing him.
Wow. I was convinced that you played the Honey Badger, so I am very impressed that you got that big of a role. Congrats.
Honey Badger don't care. I don't either.
Don't care. I like the PG version
I don't care. Exactly. Yeah. So that's coming out. Can't wait for that. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. This game, .emu. This is essentially an update to it's an original game, but if you played the original arcade game, this looks like a better looking version of that game with a lot more mechanics and also a playable April O'Neil.
I did see that trailer today as I was looking up the Marvel Midnight Suns trailer. That one came up suggested next, and I was like, April O'Neil? Yep, let's go.
Yeah, and so I had to actually open up another link because this didn't have much more on games you hadn't heard about. So I'm going to go to that, and I will surprise you, Mark.
Okay.
So some of the other games we got announced was a game called Cult of the Lamb. Mark, I didn't even know what to think of this game. It's by Devolver Studios. So when I say Cult of the Lamb, what do you think of?
I think of Goat Simulator with more occult stuff.
You're close.
Okay.
So this is like a action RPG type of game with like almost like base building, but your job, you're a lamb and you form a cult. And you actually have to use your cult to give you powers, but sometimes the cult members turn on you and you get powered up and then you go out and face monsters, but you build a base based on your cult. And it's the artwork is beautiful in this game. It kind of almost reminds me of Castle Crashers in a way. It's so weird, but it's just like Cult of the Lamb. I'm like, okay, Yeah, you got me. You got me.
That does look very entertaining. I'm looking up some because you said mentioned the art style. Yeah, I'm looking up some pictures and stuff. This looks quite weird. I'm in.
It's very weird. Yeah. Super Monkey Ball, this game, Banana Mania, it's so crazy.
Yes.
They're having everyone in this game. They've got Beat from Jet Kind Radio. They've got a character from Persona 5 is in this game now. Morgana is in this game. All the mini games, the regular games you can play in this thing.
Yep.
It's weird.
I loved Super Monkey Ball. Back on, I want to say GameCube.
GameCube, probably. Yeah.
I think so. And then even Super Monkey Ball was one of the first games in the iOS App Store way back in the day. Like that was one of the first when the App Store first launched, because the iPhone and the iPod Touch could do the motion controls.
Yeah.
So there was a great version. I thought it was a really good version of Super Monkey Ball for and back then I didn't even have an iPhone. I just had an iPod Touch. But it was still really, really good and very responsive and stuff, and had a great accelerometer in that, and a good screen for the time. So Super Monkey Ball, yeah, that's a fun series, man. If you haven't checked that out before, like not like just see it and just kind of be like, monkeys, balls, whatever. I don't know.
That's my game, Mark. Monkeys, balls.
Monkeys, balls. That's.
Yes.
Yep.
Check it out on my app store, folks. Yeah, so that's coming out. That's going to be fun. It's really reaching into some nostalgia now for people that are a certain age. Yep. The Monkey Ball is just there, and they want to play it and share it with their kids. So perfect game when Finn gets a little bit older. I think he'll like Monkey Ball. Mm-hmm. Then we got something for Charlie. So Charlie, if you're listening, Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga.
What a trailer!
Holy dokey, we got a trailer.
Oh, the sad part about this, because the trailer was so good, and this is the only trailer. Like Lauren kind of paid a little bit of attention for Midnight Suns or whatever that Marvel game was called. She watched this Star Wars trailer top to bottom. She loves the Lego games. We sat there and we watched it together, and she was like, "Come on, coming out in like September, October, this fall," because it's been delayed. This game, if you remember, the first trailer for it said 2020. Then it was spring 2021. And now it is spring 2022. And it feels like I'm in 12 minutes. It feels like I'm in Groundhog's Day. It's like it's dangling at the end of this stick, and it's like, I'm going to get it. And they just keep moving it to the next year. Like, I'm fairly certain that in spring of 2022, they're just going to be like, "Oh no, we meant 2023. Didn't you guys get that?" Like, "Oh no, that's our bad. 100% spell check error." And we'll get this game somewhere around 2065, and then I'll die.
It's actually going to be a free to play mobile game. Right?
Yeah. Like
$1 per character, Mark, and there's only 350 characters. Yeah, exactly. There you go.
I am so excited for this game, though. Like, take the time. It looks like there's a lot of stuff. Lego games are glitchy and not always well built. They're usually fun, but sometimes very frustrating. This looks like it has a lot.
So I stood in the spot and pushed the button and it didn't work. What happened? Yeah, a lot of that.
Or a lot of just like walking through a path, and then the whole game freezes and makes a noise that like only dogs can really understand.
Or the level wouldn't save, or you couldn't get it the level to continue because you didn't do something. And
100%.
Yeah.
So if they can get rid of those glitches, there looks like there's a lot of moving parts and different mechanics in this game, from vehicles to space combat to lightsaber combat to blaster stuff to a cover system to like a lot of stuff that we haven't seen in Lego games before, that if they need an extra year or an extra 2 years or an extra 6 months after the two, like whatever, if this game comes out next summer, next fall, sure, take your time, get this right, because this is every movie in the saga. I'm sure it's going to factor in the shows and Mandalorian and everything else. And there's 300 and some characters. Like, get it right. Just get it right.
I was hoping I would have saw at the end of this trailer, like, and play now together with your friends online, but still nothing there. So I hope they added that, because they need new mechanics. They need a lot of things, because the Lego franchise, it's just the concept is unfortunately, the mechanics have gotten so old and stayed that I can't even get excited about because I'm just tired of doing the same boring kind of gameplay.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping there's new stuff here, and they hopefully they deliver on that. And the voice acting was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it looks like all original voice actors versus any of the actual stars. So that's perfectly fine with me.
We talked about why that's better. And in the past, we've seen Lego games go from everything from like taking audio clips from movies or shows or whatever, which I didn't think worked at all, to getting original. Yeah. And it's always better when they can do original actors either spoofing the original lines, having fun with their own lines or whatever, but it's much more flexible and fits into the Lego style much better.
Yeah. Although Harrison Ford said he'd sign up for this. No, just kidding.
Anyway, he was going to actually. He apparently broke his ankle and arm walking into the Lego building, and then stepped on a bunch of Legos, which put him out of commission for another year. So he
flew off in his Lego plane.
Exactly. Yeah, he had to bounce from doing this. So they got someone that sounds like him, but sadly, he injured himself way too much walking into the Lego factory to record his lines. So,
well,
next time.
Very quickly, I'll go through some of these ones really quick. A game that I just blew me away. I'm like, this is weird, and made me think this is really what Pokemon should look like. And I don't know why Pokemon doesn't spend the money to really up their development and what they can do, because by all means, it's the biggest franchise in the world, and I think they spend $10 on their games. But it's called Dokev. Very weird game. It's like an action adventure game that's very full of whimsy, but then there's action combat, but you can do everything. It just felt like such a weird game. I definitely check out this game, Mark. It's called Dokev. Okay. Dokev. It looks weird and wacky, but it just makes me feel like this is where Pokemon should now look like in how it could play with the world and the environment versus kind of just keeping it safe. So it's called Dokev, folks. Check it out. I don't even know how to describe it. It's just weird, wacky, but it really looked interesting and cool in the art style.
Cool.
Very interesting game. Yeah. Then we got Blood Hunt. It's another Vampire the Masquerade game, which I'm like, how many Vampire Masquerade games are there? Because there's like text adventure games, there's Bloodlines, there's this game's a action RPG third-person shooter coming out on Steam on September 7th. I've never heard about that, and the fact that we aren't hearing about it until now when it's coming out, very weird. Another game that's interesting called Bandai's world premiere called Park Beyond. This is like theme park simulator, but a little bit different, and it looked very charming and really kind of cool, more of a story mode version of that type of game. And I thought, wow, this could be very cool, coming in 2022.
All right.
And then I'd say lastly, we had Amazon showing their game called New World. It's an MMO coming out, and I've heard really good things about this game. It's getting an open beta September 12th, and then it's launching on September 28th. I don't know if it's a fully paid game because it's Amazon, but I saw it. I'm like, this is pretty impressive. So if you're looking for like more of an MMO with supernatural elements, combat, a world that changes as you play, check out New World.
Cool.
So Mark.
Yes, sir.
Based on all of that, I've got to say I was actually pretty impressed from what I saw. Lots of, some new games shown, like the Saints Row, which is like, I didn't know that was happening. That's out. The Halo announcements. That's kind of crazy that Gamescom now is feeling like a major show that we can all enjoy.
Yeah. It's nice to bring some focus off of E3. We didn't know what we were missing with E3, I think, until it left. And there were a lot of complaints about like, oh, it's 1 week and they have to show everything and people save every blah, blah, blah. And it has to go away. It has to spread out. And then it did spread out through a whole summer and it was really hard to follow. And then E3 came back and we were like, yay. But there's still something still had to change. And I think this is a great way to continue on with that change. So if we get Gamescom with some big announcements and E3 with some big announcements and the Game Awards with some big announcements, and then little events sprinkled throughout the year, then we're starting that it's not focused just on one thing, not one event, and you can kind of spread your messaging out a little bit. And I think Midnight Suns is a perfect example of that, because even back at E3, I remember us talking that wasn't the right time to launch that game. That wasn't the right time to announce that game, because people were still kind of feeling the stink of Avengers, and uh, Spider-Man. Spider-Man 2 was or Miles Morales was great, but if this game wasn't going to live up to that, so I think giving that some time and seeing that now Avengers has this big hype around War for Wakanda, this is a perfect time for this. And it's great that there was an event kind of centered at around the same time that War for Wakanda. Everyone's like, yeah, hyped. And then the Spider-Man trailer for the movie is coming out, and Shang-Chi's coming out, and they're doing the What If series. So Marvel hype is huge right now. And it's awesome that if this announcement happened back at E3, people would be like, it's so far out. We're done with Marvel games right now. We're not feeling it. But right now it's like, yeah, this game looks amazing. So it's great to have different events at different times a year, so that companies can pace things out based on what's happening in the zeitgeist and what's happening with fans and that kind of stuff. It's really cool. So I love that yeah, this is becoming another event that it can be a showcase for new stuff, and a catch up on, like, here's what we announced back in E3, here's how it's progressing. Get ready to see it either in the fall or when it launches, or get ready to learn more in September or at the Game Awards or whatever. So it's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's funny because you mentioned, if they announced the Midnight Suns game, then the game they did announce was Guardians of the Galaxy, and people are suspect of that game.
Yep.
And I mean, and that's the problem. It's like, that's a lot to overcome. And I'm excited for that game, but I don't know why. I mean, I think it looks cool, and I think it's not a pay to service game. It's kind of what we wanted from Avengers, I think, initially. So we'll see if it plays out. But yeah, I mean, that created a challenge with that. And yeah, I mean, the problem with E3 too, a lot of the games that are announced then, we probably didn't have a lot of confidence that a lot of those games announced then, if they said they're coming out this fall, probably were, because it's
Right.
like June to whatever is so far away, and the world is in a crazy place right now. So the fact is, we got a lot of things finally confirmed now that is happening 2 months away, which is just crazy, like Halo and Call of Duty and some of these other things. So it's great. And like you said, I hope we've got the Game Awards, and maybe we'll get something. I mean, we do get some shows, and I think PAX or something happens in the spring.
Yeah,
We get the
exactly.
Game Developers
You
Conference.
get some smaller stuff sprinkled throughout there, but if there's 3 or 4 really big events, like one per quarter or something like that, like, I love that. I love that. That's really good. 3 or 4 different events throughout the year that are really big showcases that, like, news sites and like the actual like news, the mainstream media covers, not just the game sites. And then you get the rest of the stuff throughout the year that we follow and follow closely, right? So it's exciting. I love that it's just growing.
And we needed some good news.
Yeah.
The year's been crazy. We just need something to get hyped about and just get excited about. So you know what? We'll take this any day. So, and it's the Germans, and we saw the one German lady was a surprise to me as well. That's all I'll say. She kind of looked like the lady from Resident Evil. A lot of people said, which is kind of like, yep, I bet that was the model they used for her. But on that note, Mark, we talked about managing expectations in the hype machine, which is our topic this week. I think people had a lot of undue expectations for the Xbox part of that show, but the expectations for Gamescom, I think, were exact opposite.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think people expected a lot. And I think we felt like that is all about gaming in a while. It seems like we put so much hype on what somebody's going to bring out a year, or somebody's winning something, and then they don't. And then we have to then defend. If we had a position, then we have to defend it. And it becomes kind of like fanboyish. And ultimately, I don't think it really helps anything. When was the last time being hyped for something really paid out and said, "Yep, I was hyped and I was right," versus
Yeah.
my expectations were lower and they actually got they were even lower than that.
Yeah, that's it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? Like, because you want people to get hyped, you want people to be excited about what's happening, and it's fun to be hyped about stuff, whether it's on Twitter or in a Discord or Facebook or whatever. It's fun to find that community too and be all hyped together about something. And of course, when we get a 2-minute trailer or a 5-minute gameplay bit, and it happens with movies too, it doesn't really matter. And you see this kind of stuff and you start to theorize based on what you see or a tiny little clip of something. And it's obviously, it starts to snowball because communication between like-minded people is so easy that when we don't get a flood of information or enough information to properly temper our expectations, then of course we're just going to fly off the handle and we're going to come up with a whole bunch of stuff. So that was one of these things with the Spider-Man movie trailer that we just saw. Was I saw a bunch of memes floating around that were like, I hope Spider-Man No Way Home meets my expectations. And then it cuts to like the expectation. It's like 27 different versions of Spider-Man and all these other characters from like comic books and like, media and whatever else. And it's like, they're impossible expectations. But even though that's a joke, it does, like, some people actually believe that kind of stuff. And Civil War in the MCU was one of my favorite movies. But if you expected that to be Civil War from the comics, where it's basically just two groups of 200 superpowered individuals going head to head and this epic world changing battle, like, if those were your expectations going into the Civil War movie, like, damn straight you were going to be disappointed. But like, if you just watch that movie for what it was and enjoyed it, then it's, like I said, one of my favorite Marvel movies. And like, the airport fight was badass, but it wasn't 200 super powered individuals beating the snot out of each other. Like, it was a dozen. So I think it's very easy to go off on that though. But I think companies nowadays have to get ahead of that. I think that they have to get better at understanding that the world now we all talk to one another. There are, like I said, Discord groups. Also join our Discord group. But there are these
where we
groups
hype up things. Yeah. We unrealistically hype up things.
Yeah, exactly. But like, we all talk. We come up with things. So if they show a trailer or a couple of images, or there's, God forbid, leaked set photos or rumors or whatever, like, get ahead of it. Don't be afraid to be like, you guys are kind of going off the rails. Here's what's happening. And like, of course, you're going to get those conspiracy theory people that put on their tinfoil hats and they're like, nah, this is some fake news. They're actually going to, they're saying that this is exactly what we're getting, but we're getting this. And it's like, okay, well, that person aside, like, I think if companies are a little bit more upfront, then you don't get that spin out, but they have to get ahead of that. Whether it's just someone releasing a press release, it doesn't always have to be a trailer or an in-depth kind of thing. It can be someone that is doing a press release saying like, look, here's the details of this game or this event or this thing. Here is what we're going to be showing. And like you said, the Xbox was like, we're going to be showing things that you already know. And people were like, no, they're not. We're going to get this, 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 and this. And it's like, it's hard to combat that because, like I just said, like, even when people are completely upfront, sometimes it backfires. But I also think, like, a lot of times the companies set themselves up for that. Like, they've said that in the past. It's the boy who cried wolf situation. So I think companies need to be transparent with things, but they also need to stick with that transparency because again, if you give people an inch, they're going to take a mile. So give them an inch, tell them you're going to give them an inch, deliver that inch, and eventually you'll kind of teach those people that they should expect what you're telling them, kind of thing. Temper your expectations, basically.
And it's funny, I mean, to pair that with just, another industry, the Apple One More Thing.
Yeah.
That is actually part of their business model, to use that method to surprise.
Yeah.
That's why they take anything getting spoiled very seriously and sue people. And I'll give you another expectation, a situation, Mark, where unrealistic expectations. So in your mind, imagine a young Todd who was a huge Pearl Jam fan back in the day. And at the time, Pearl Jam, this is like in the 90s, Pearl Jam was known to show up and just be at concerts with people they liked performing with. Gil Young was one of those people. So for some reason, my buddy talked me into going to a Neil Young concert with Blind Melon. Was Todd a big fan of either of those bands? No. But for some reason, Todd got on his mind, Pearl Jam's going to show up. I know they will. Didn't show up.
Oh, no.
I've no one to blame but myself,
right.
And that's perfectly fine.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, there is a situation where past experience leads you to expect certain things, regardless of if there's even anything found of that. So like I said, the Apple model is one of those. Other companies where they said, oh, we're not going to do anything, and then they do it. So then it's like, well, I can't trust you because you've said that, and then you did the opposite. So I think that becomes I don't know if we can expect anything and not be underwhelmed or overwhelmed or whatever. Nintendo was very common for that too, with Nintendo Directs. They have set the standard to be the one that this Direct is going to be the big thing every year. This is going to be the biggest thing. And when they don't deliver the next big Zelda game you didn't know about, it becomes kind of disappointing because Nintendo kind of underwhelms a lot of times in regards to their announcements. They're very conservative. They typically try to hold back on things, and they try not to release things too early. And then when they do, they get nailed for it. The Metroid Prime 4 logo, and they got nailed for it.
I think it's fine to hope for things. I think that's part of the fun of Nintendo's having a big E3 showcase. Oh wow, what's going to be shown there? And it's like
the first one in 3 years.
Yeah,
oh my god,
right?
What could they do? The last time they did it, we got Breath of the Wild 2.
And that's it. You can get your hypes, your hopes as hyped up as you want to, and hope for things. And that's a different thing than expecting something, is hoping for something. So you could hope for X, Y, and Z, but it's very different than when they say, hey, we're going to do a 15-minute indie game showcase. And then you go online and you see these people that are like, oh,
where's Hollow Knight? Where's Hollow Knight, Mark?
It's not even that. It's like, oh no, this is where they're doing the Metroid Prime 4 reveal.
Exactly.
This is where we're going to see gameplay. And it's like, did you not see where they said it's a 15-minute indie direct? Sure. If they say we have a game announcement direct that's going to be 40 minutes of upcoming games, 100% hope that Metroid or Wave Race or whatever you want is going to be one of those. But when they say it's a 20-minute indie direct, don't go in expecting them to be like, oh, and one more thing, here's an unreleased game that's the best game you've ever seen. It's Metroid,
our biggest franchise,
plus F-Zero, plus Rabbids, plus Wave Race, plus Pilot Wings, all in one game. It's fantastic. And we're giving it away for free. So it's, it's that kind of stuff. So this hope versus expectation. And I think we need never let go of that hope, but maybe start tempering your expectations.
Yeah, it is funny. I think I remember one Nintendo Direct where they said they were it's going to be things releasing in 2021 and blah, blah, blah. And it's and they still did things that weren't releasing in 2021, which I thought was hilarious. I mean, come on, guys. I'm Nintendo, don't you learn that you're going to get 85 million unlikes on YouTube because people are mad because Metroid Prime 4 is still not coming out when you haven't announced it. Yeah. So I don't know. But being an enthusiast like we are, we kind of are spoiled with so much and we know what's coming. So we're the ones that are hard to impress to a large extent. And I think those special moments that just blow you away are the ones that make you always think there's always a chance, right?
Yeah.
And to lose that hope for something truly wow is what we live for.
Mm-hmm.
I think to a certain extent, it's that thing that makes you so excited. It's kind of like what was it? The Disney event last year. Remember, was it the Disney Plus event that was like in December?
Mm-hmm.
That just unexpectedly we found out like, oh my God, there's going to be all these Star Wars shows. And there's going to be this and that. And it's like nobody expected that. But guess what? They're going to have another event this year, Mark. And guess what did they do? They set the precedent where people are going to be like, okay, I wasn't showing up at that event, but I'm going to watch it this year. So it's almost like the precedent they set, regardless of what they say, will always remind us of that nostalgia for that one moment in time.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and I grew up in an era when before internet, before all those things. So, I didn't have those expectations. And now that is just part of reality. You get spoiled on things, Twitter, all these things. So, I don't know if we can ever get back to a more innocent place, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm perfectly fine.
It's tough. I mean, and it's like sports or anything else. I mean, my dad's a diehard Maple Leafs fan, and they haven't won a Stanley Cup since whatever 1960 or some shit. Like it's just, but like every single year he's like, this is the year, and he watches the Leafs expecting them to win, and it's like, dude, temper your expectations. But like, you can't give up on that hope because that's your passion, right? Like we're doing this, we're talking about this, and we talk to like-minded people that have that same kind of hope. And I don't, like I said, I don't want to lose that hope, but setting your expectations properly, I think is healthier for your own mental well-being.
Oh, absolutely. But it's less fun, Mark.
Sometimes I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Disappointment's a salty. Yeah. Disappointment's a salty dinner we all eat every once in a while. But you know what? We live for those shining moments, and they rarely come. But you know what? Enjoy them while they can. But don't lash out about companies when they never promised you a rose garden.
Yes. That's it. Behave.
It's a song. I never promised you a rose garden. Look it up, kids. It's an old song. Oh, well, Mark, I think that is it this week. But you know what, guys, if you have thoughts on expectations or what we talked about with Gamescom or the games we played, we want to hear about that from you, and you'll hear about that in the end credits. So, Mark, thank you for joining me today. I hope you had a good time.
Yeah.
I kept you up late.
It's all right.
But you know what? I hope you had a good time, and I hope your expectations were met.
Always with you, Todd. Exceed my expectations.
Well, thank you for that, and you did as well, Mark. Well, everyone, thank you for joining on this journey through the world of video games and what we've been playing and the news that we all love. Until next time, just remember, it's always better to game together.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow @SecretFriendsU on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.